Well,
Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Tonight, taking a look at the Target exclusive release of the Vintage Collection Han Solo and Stormtrooper disguise. So let's head to that table and check this one out. A quick look at the card, and obviously Han Solo comes on the Vintage Collection line. That gets you the nice big Star Wars logo. And for the rest of that card back, I'm not feeling this image. I'm really not liking it all that much, actually. It's very gritty or grainy to it. The head looks like it's painted and just sketched on there, but the rest of the body seems like it might be a still from the movie. Maybe they just grabbed an image from the VHS copy or something, but the quality of the image just isn't working for me. Otherwise, though, through the blister, of course, you see the figure with the included accessories. On the backside, nothing different here. Top half still gives you other figures that are, well, coming soon in this line, along with one of those images being this figure itself. Off to the right of that, you got the brief description talking about celebrating the legacy of Star Wars. And upper right corner, he gets a number in the lineup. It's VC number 143. Wonder why the 3 3/4 inch figures get a number, but the 6-inch figures don't when they're exclusives. Bottom half of the card is your legal information. And now taking a look at him out of the packaging. Overall, it's a pretty sharp looking figure. Not much of this is new. It seems, as far as I can tell, it's been bashed together from a few other regular Stormtrooper releases. I saw this body on a few different Stormtroopers, although the paint application, at least through the middle of the chest, existed on some and maybe not on others. But definitely this head sculpt is all new. We have a great likeness to Han Solo from A New Hope, and a fantastic paint job to go along with it because, of course, they're using the new photoreal face painting technology. I haven't seen this on camera yet, obviously, because I'm still recording this now, and a lot of these tend to fall apart with this new painting once you see them shot with a camera. But I'm going to say it right now, in my hand, a couple inches away from my face, it's looking great. The painting's holding up very well to the eye, and as I said, just a tremendous likeness to him for A New Hope, and I feel like this might be one of the best likenesses we have of him to that movie. The hair looks like it's separately sculpted and glued into place, so obviously that helps the painting with that. And then, of course, painting for the eyes, eyebrows, lips, all looking very well placed. And it does come with a helmet that slides on very easily over the head. It's a relatively tight fit, but I think that's good. That helmet still looks very well proportioned to the rest of the figure. You don't see his chin sticking out of the bottom, so that's a great thing. Otherwise, though, the detailing of the paint, the sculpting, it's all looking really good. Here, the white color of the helmet does seem just a little bit off from the armor of the chest. Pretty minor, though, not that huge of a deal. As far as the upper part of that body, things just looking good. I mean, as I always say, there's not much you can do to really mess up a Stormtrooper. Detailing for the arms is looking pretty good. On top of the shoulders, instead of that little molding piece, that stripe that runs along the side to the top, you got a little bit of that there at the front edge of the shoulder, but then running around the top of the shoulder is actually your articulation joint, so that carries that seam throughout. So as you notice later when I go through the articulation, you're going to get a lot of motion through here because of the way they did that joint, and it doesn't really take away all that much from the design of the shoulders. The price you do pay with having that joint not hidden on the top is underneath where it should be all black. You're going to get it white in there. So in the end, I think this is a pretty good compromise because until you raise the arms up, you're not going to really notice that he's white in his armpits. Along the belly, you got some black dots painted in there. A pretty nice tight placement for that. It's not really bleeding all over or anything, or at least on mine it isn't. Utility belt's looking pretty good. And that belt is separately sculpted and it's just laying there around the waist. This particular figure does have a holster off to the side. As you'll see later, it doesn't really do you any good, but it looks great to see it on there. And then along the back side, you got that little canister sticking out. Little touch of gray painting on there. Once again, good detailing with that, not running all over the place. And then for the legs, you got some black where you expect to see it at the top of the thighs sticking out from under that armor, and then just back behind the knees at the bend. And then for the boots, it does seem to me that they are molded in that white plastic with the soles of the feet painted black. The white doesn't entirely match up with the white for the armor pieces. I'm pretty okay with that. Throughout the figure, there really is just a little mismatch of white colors here and there, but nothing that really takes your eye away from the figure, so I don't think it suffers because of that. As for the articulation, no real surprises on the head. It swivels all the way around. A little bit of up and down movement, and even some side to side. Those shoulders swivel all the way around, and they hinge pretty high up. Also, it's kind of crazy. You can even just spin those all the way around and bend them back down. So, yeah, a lot of movement with those. You get a good bend at the elbows going on, and of course they swivel all the way around. Both of the wrists swivel, but you do not get any up, down, or side-to-side movement with those. Waist is going to swivel all the way around also. And just a tiny bit of forward and back movement. Nothing side to side, it seems. At least nothing worth bragging about. As for the legs, you get your rotation at the top where it joins at the hip. And then they also hinge out. He can do the splits like so. But with the way that armor fits at the top, you're not going to get a proper seated position. You get a pretty good bend at the knees going back, and they also swivel around there. And then for the feet, they bend back pretty far. They go forward at a decent rate. And then, of course, you got your rotation at the top of the ankle. As far as accessories, of course, you got the helmet, and he comes with a Stormtrooper blaster. Pretty decent sculpting to it. Looks like what you would expect to see of a Stormtrooper blaster. Scope looks pretty nice. You have some detailing along the barrel with those little circles indented there, but just not a lot of definition to it. You get a little bit more so definition on the other side for that barrel, but not that much more. Pretty sure this is another mold that's been reused. You tend to see that happen where you just don't get as much definition. But as you see, you got a touch of silver painting at the end of the blaster, along with a little bit of silver just above the trigger on the other side. The weapon can be placed in either hand. Both have an index finger that are, I don't want to say independently sculpted, but are at least separated out from the other fingers. But his left hand does have that more pronounced trigger finger sculpted in there. But then in this case, that would make him holding the weapon in the wrong hand since he's right-handed with that blaster. And then as I mentioned, he has that holster, but it's really only one-sided, and the weapon just doesn't sit right in there. So I would just say that holster's more for looks and not really functional. So overall, even though the majority of this figure is nothing really new, that head sculpt certainly is. Of course, you get in that photoreal face painting, and that makes this figure worth the price of admission. As I said earlier, I think this is the best head sculpt for a New Hope Han Solo that we've seen, and it's certainly nice to see this particular figure with him in a Stormtrooper costume get that update. And if you decide to just leave that helmet on, you still have yourself a pretty decent Stormtrooper also. And that wraps up this look at the Vintage Collection Han Solo Stormtrooper disguise. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.